Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Big Questions, Small Steps. My name is Amanda, and I'm so glad that you could join me today. Today, we are doing our last presentation about the United Church of Christ. We have talked about how they began, what they believe, their social justice movements, how their worship spaces, the holidays they celebrate, and now we are talking about how would one convert to the United Church of Christ. If you're ready, let's hit the intro and we'll begin. So for someone who is interested in converting to the United Church of Christ, there are a couple of different questions. The first question would be, have you been baptized already? It does not matter where you've been baptized, as long as you've been baptized in a Christian church. So if you were baptized as part of the Catholic faith, if you were baptized with the Baptist faith, it doesn't matter as long as you were baptized. Again, the United Church of Christ is all about the united and uniting church. They're more about the similarities than the differences. They see that God is God. There is one God, and he encompasses all, and people are just referring to him or connecting with him in different ways. So to them, it does not matter where you were baptized. But that would be the first question. Were you baptized? If you were not baptized, that would be either something that you could pursue, or you could confirm your faith in a different way. You could choose to confirm your faith in front of the congregation like you were going to do if you were a confirmand student. If you were going through Sunday school and then all of a sudden you got to 8th grade, 9th grade, whatever it is, and you spoke about, this is what I believe, I'm ready to take this ownership on myself, because essentially that's what they're talking about in confirmation when they do their statement of faith. They say that when you were baptized, your parents were speaking for you. And now at confirmation, you are speaking for yourself, which is why you need to say what you believe. So some people will choose to skip the baptism and then they will go straight to that. Many people, if you were baptized anywhere else, you don't need to do anything else special in the United Church of Christ. What you would do is you would come to a service, see if you get that feel. They do a lot about feelings. Does it feel at home? Does it feel right for you? Does it feel like a good match? If it does, then you would approach the pastor and you would ask to have a conversation with them. And they would have a conversation and talk a little bit. Depending on your background, that would determine the next steps. So it could be that after that one conversation, the pastor's like, okay, great. The next time we have a membership Sunday, then we will have you participate right away. It could be that they wanted to have you have a little bit better understanding. So they might give you a little bit of the history of the United Church of Christ, the history of that particular church that you are a part of, the history of, or even just the knowledge of some of the different committees or groups that are offered within the church, ways that you can help serve. When I was teaching confirmation class, that was one of the things that I did as part of my section, is we would talk about all these different committees. I believe there was 28 different committees within the church that I was a part of, and they would have to pick at least 2 and go and either talk to somebody or help with something. So there were some people that helped clean up the church. There were some people that helped the men's group and their brat fries. There were some people who helped tie quilts with the women's guild. There were some that helped with Sunday school. They would find different ways that they could be a part of the church because they want you to be aware of all these different supports that are out there. after you have a better understanding of all of that, then the pastor will ask if you're ready to confirm your membership. There's a paper that you have to fill out. It's not a tough one. It basically gives like your full name, your address, so they can include you on your membership rolls. And then it's a statement saying, you are voluntarily joining the United Church of Christ. And then what will happen is it'll wait for the next membership Sunday. Some churches will do it whenever you have a new person who is interested. Some will do it a couple of times a year, and they'll start making plugs the weeks coming, like, hey, if you've been considering joining, then come to this class. And they'll do it that way. And then what would happen is during service, they will ask you to stand either in your place, or they will ask you to come stand in the front of the church, which is a little bit more off-putting for some, but they want to make sure that you are recognized by the members. And that's one way to do that, is if you come into the front of the church. And then they will just ask you what your intentions are, and how are you planning on being of service to the church, and do you readily and freely accept becoming a member of the church, the United Church of Christ, and do you plan on being a member of this particular church, and how do you plan to be a member of this particular church? And then the congregation will then make a vow saying, we promise our love and support to this person as they continue on their journey. And then you're a member. Are there any requirements as a member? No, not really. You are not required to attend the church at a certain amount of time. They do encourage tithing, which is when you give an offering of 10% of your annual income back to the church. But if you don't, it's not like they're going to come hound you for it. They do use that money to pay the pastor and heat the building and all these other things. So tithing is encouraged, but it's not mandated. There is nothing you have to do to be a member of the United Church Church of Christ once you have stated that this is what you're interested in. That's just how they operate. Again, different churches have different practices. I know that there's a church, it's the United Church of Christ down in Chicago, where if you do not tithe 10%, you will be not a member, an active member, you'll be a friend of that congregation instead. That's just something, because they're such a large church, that they need to hold that number. That's just a rule that they have. The church that I was a part of was very small, and they didn't need to have that rule. But that's basically it. When you are interested in converting, they will ask you if you've been baptized and where, just out of curiosity and get to know you. Then they'll share a little bit of knowledge, and then to finish it, you're going to do a little bit of proclamation, if you want to say, about what it is that you specifically believe. And then you're a member. And once you're a member, you can vote at the annual meeting, and you can run for different offices, and you can help however you want. They do require you to be a member in order to help with Sunday school, just to hold a little bit more accountability and close ties regarding the children. You can be a part of the choir, the women's guild, the men's club, all those other clubs, and not be a member officially. You could be an usher and not officially be a member, but in particular, the children, so Sunday school, confirmation, things like that, you would need to be a member so they can hold that in a little bit tighter quantities. But that's it. To become a member of the United Church of Christ is really relatively easy. It will take less than a month, if that. Sometimes it's just a week. It all depends on where you are and what your beliefs are. Sometimes the pastor will have longer conversations with you. Sometimes it's a pretty quick, short conversation, like, hey, I just moved here. Okay, great. I was active in my previous one. Now I'm going to be active here. And that's just how it'll roll. So there it is. The next video that we're going to do, because we've now officially wrapped up United Church of Christ, the next one that we're going to talk about is called Universalism. And this is, again, a very new Christian denomination, but it has a caveat that some of the other ones did not. So if you enjoyed today's presentation, please make sure that you hit that like button, hit that subscribe, because you will not want to miss our next presentation set. Until then, I hope you take care, and remember, the more you know, the more you grow. Be well. Bye-bye.